All right, guys, welcome to another week of Half Serious. This week, you're getting a Fluffer episode. For those of you that don't know, a Fluffer episode is an episode where we keep you, how am I going to word this? Enthralled in between the main guest episodes. This is just a Q&A session where I've gotten some of your guys' questions and I answer them at my leisure. Some of these questions I get a few times, and I've probably answered one of these maybe before, and one of these you guys have asked multiple times, and I've just kind of skipped over it, but I'll give you kind of a half-ass answer to this one, but it's mostly just because I avoid the friggin' subject. But maybe to stop the question, all in all, I will say it on here. But, all right, so, first question. Why don't you talk about your ex? I try not to give energy to things that don't reciprocate that positive energy or just energy in general. Now, I do that mostly with people, with causes. Not all people. Some people I invest in because you can tell that they just need a minute to kind of rearrange their life and then they're going to get back. And that whole transformation of thing is awesome. But when it comes to causes, fuck, man, I will fight those things to a fault. That is something that I am bad at. It is really hard for me if I believe that something is wrong and I'm trying to right it. It is extremely hard for me to unlatch from that. So I am very good about removing toxic things or toxic people from my life. I really try to keep that barrier and not let it affect me and just not involve them. But as it comes to causes and things like that, as you can tell by the podcast, I can't let go of that shit. I can't. I mean, because somebody's got to say something. And I'm not saying I'm the right person to say it, but at least it's being put out there into the ether, right? So, moving on to the next question. What is it really like leaving policing? Now, although this episode might be delayed a little bit coming out, I don't know. Tomorrow, I have one of my very good friends' retirement party. He is leaving out of policing after 19 years. He was in my police academy, so he lateraled out. So he gets to come, leave out a little bit earlier from our department than some. And I would direct this directly at him, but to anybody that's leaving policing, I don't know how it's like in the traditional way. Like, hey, you've reached this many years, you're properly retiring. Right? I left out in a very weird way. I feel like telling you guys a whole story would take a whole episode, which if you guys are interested, I'll do sometime. I just feel at some point it gets a little egotistical and maybe talked about too much. So you guys got to let me know on that stuff. But when you leave policing, it is literally like you're trying to figure out who the fuck you are when you're not out there doing that kind of work. I loved that job. Loved that job. I felt like I had purpose there, all that other good stuff. But at the same time, it was literally ripping me apart, knowing what should be done that's right and right by the people and the officers, and then seeing the stuff that's continually doing wrong. And then that compounding me being able to take care of my child in the correct way with my hours. Because mostly that's what it came down to. My hours. And some other political things with why I left out. But when you leave out, you slowly realize how much of your life was depicted by what you did and how you feared what people would say about you. Now, if you're still in there, I know it's hard to... Some people might not give a fuck about what everybody says and they just do their thing. But I didn't even really think that I did that until I left out. Like, I wouldn't be able to do this podcast, me personally. Some people are able to do podcasts and be active officers, but I couldn't have done this podcast if I was still an active cop. One, because I couldn't say the shit that I want to say. Two, because I would know that literally everybody would be listening to the podcast, and then I'd have to hear about it and worry, or are the cadets or the rookies taking this the wrong way? Are they not seeing me as a lieutenant? Are they seeing me as something different now? Am I not putting forth the police personality that I have? But now, I waited a year, I distanced myself, and now I do this shit. Hopefully it's not complete shit, but I do this. I don't want to say I was depressed, Well, no, I was fucking depressed. I was depressed when I left out because again, it was so sudden. Like I knew when it happened that I was gonna have to leave and I'd have to find another job. So I was really depressed there for a few months trying to figure out how the fuck to get out of policing. And then once I did get a job and I got out and I put in that notice, it was like a death. Like you guys have heard me talk about when officers die, and I felt like, my insides were vibrating, like there was just things that I couldn't expel, rather. And that's kind of what it was like when I put in those papers. It was like I felt like death. Like when we walk up to the scene and we smell what death smells like, if I could put that into a feeling, that's kind of what it felt like putting in those papers. But that's not how everybody feels. Some people feel immense relief. So I can only speak for my own experience. But I will say there was some relief that came along with it. And I was scared for the first time in a long time. I hadn't been scared in a really long time with a lot of different stuff, other than, when you hear somebody key up and an officer's hurt or something like that. That obviously is a whole other level of scary. But I'm just talking about the regular day to day. I'm scared. I was scared to go to an office, work 8 to 4, uh, have this normal, you know, be it mundane life. What I saw as a mundane life. And I didn't want to be insignificant like that. And it took me a minute to fucking realize that work shouldn't make you significant. What you do, yeah, you want to do something for a higher cause, whatever, but your work, if you can find that kind of meaning and stuff in your life outside of work, fucking do it. Your work should not define every single thing that you are. And if you invest that much in policing, that is why it's so hard for us to leave out, because we've invested so much of ourselves into that career, and that is everything that we are. We bank our value into what promotions we get, what kind of, what our team thinks of us, all this other stuff. And not saying that that doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter to you once you leave. It doesn't fucking matter. You had a great career, cool. Doesn't matter. You leave out of there, nobody knows who the fuck you are. I can walk into anywhere and nobody will be like, oh man, that's Tess. Do you know what she did? Nobody gives a fuck. Everybody's always in their own lives and stuff. So leaving policing is a death to yourself to a degree, or at least it was for me. And then learning how to live very slowly and redefining what fun is, and learning how to enjoy things. And then all of a sudden, you're not looking for your gun on your hip anymore. And all of a sudden, and of course, a lot of guys still carry their gun on the hip, but because of the job and stuff, I mean, I can't carry around a gun like that. But you don't, you don't feel your head tilt for the radio, or you don't wonder, hey, I wonder where those cops are going. Because if there's not, 12 cop cars going, you're like, okay, well, it's not an officer hurt, so maybe it's okay. Or it's not going to this school, so maybe it's okay. You're not as worried about stuff. But as soon as you leave, you see a cop, you're like, well, where are they going at? I don't know. And I didn't even do that. I was on duty. When I was on duty and I was off duty, a cop car would go by. I'm like, whatever, it's not my problem. Because you would find out what it was the next day. But now I'm oblivious, and obliviousness is something that we don't appreciate enough. To not know what the person a few houses down from me probably smelled like when they died. Yeah, I'm glad to not bank that in my memory bank. I'm glad to be oblivious, to not know that somebody died a few streets over from a gunshot to the head and then bled out on the porch or some shit. I'm glad to not know about that shit. But it does make you feel a little insignificant at first. You're like, well, I don't know about things, so what worth am I? Well, like, go do some fucking things. Go learn how to skateboard. Go learn how to do what you always said that you were going to do when you were like, oh, I'm going to retire. I'm going to do these awesome things. Go do those awesome things. And eventually, you'll learn how to enjoy that stuff. You might not at first. You might be like, this is fucking weird. It's uncomfortable. Keep at it. Keep doing it. And eventually, you're going to learn how to learn how to live this new life. Not saying that you'll be normal, because for fuck's sake, we all know I never will be, or hopefully not. I'd hate to be that. But your true friends will always be there. Like a bunch of my academy mates, I'm sorry, y'all are fucking stuck with me. I've known you for 2 decades at this point, so Yeah, I'm sorry, it just fucking stuck with me. But a lot of people, it's good to have them out of your life. A lot of people in that department. And then the ones that are supposed to be staying, stay. And you keep in contact with them, and they'll be there when you fucking need them. You just call them. And that was a really long winded answer for that, but that is my answer. And I'm still figuring that out. I'm not even 2 years out yet. I just probably a year out learned not to care as much. And that's why I started this thing. Well, okay. I care a whole lot about a lot of things. I just don't care so much if people interpret what I'm doing in a negative light. I just don't care. Because if you interpret that way, or if you think that I'm this person that I'm not, then you don't understand me anyways. And I don't give a fuck. Just don't give a fuck. That could also be my age. I don't know. Carrying on, because I'm sure you guys are sick of that answer. Next question. Girl fight versus boy fight. What's the difference? There's a lot of differences. Uh, okay, let's be real. Like, if I'm getting in a fight with a dude, if he full on clocks me, he's gonna. I mean, I've been knocked out, I think, 4 times. 4 times at work. 4 times at my old job for getting punched in the face by a dude. So yes, they will be able to knock us out. And by us, I mean men and women, but women are typically a little bit lighter. So a man with a big fist can freaking knock us out pretty easily. But women do have more endurance than men half the time. And I would, I don't know. I would say that typically, unless it's like a big dude, I would rather fight a dude than a girl. And I think a lot of dudes might say this too, but because girls, when you fight a girl, you will find that you have lost hair from places you thought you shaved. This is the best way I can put that. They have no rules. None at all. You think, okay, cool, I'm going to use this technique, and they'll start biting, they'll start using nails, they'll start pulling at hair. I had one girl grab my eyelid one time, and I thought she was going to rip my eyelid off. But dudes, they always go to the boxing stance. Most of the time, they're going to go to the boxing stance, and that's how they're going to go. They're not gonna try to kick you in your vajayjay or anything like that. A chick, psh, if it exists, they'll go after it. But that's also because they're probably smaller. So some of the worst fights I've ever been in with longevity and like, fuck, this thing will never end, was usually a chick. Yeah, that is my answer to that. And also, chicks hide shit too. I don't know. Chicks can hide shit in so many places. Lady purses, as they used to call it. So, moving on. Why haven't you told somebody, or sorry, why haven't you told some of your worst stories? You're assuming haven't told my worst stories. But I think, again, it goes back to the whole egotistical thing. If I'm going to be doing this podcast for a minute, I figure at some point I might be a guest on somewhere, or maybe somebody's story will segue into mine. But then I don't even want to say it that much, because when I have guests on here, it's about them. It's not about me or anything that I've done, nor do I really want it ever to be. But I tell you what, if somebody out there, friends or whatever, want to properly interview me again, because they think that they can ask some question that's going to be the story, feel free. But I'll also say, one of my worst stories, I feel, I hate to use the word triggering, but it came with a lot of different stuff, and I don't want to bring up a lot of it. And I'm not doing a very good job of this, huh? Someday I'll tell that story. I'm not really sure I want to yet. And then I'll say a lot of the other stories, I was alone. So it's harder to tell those stories because I don't have anybody to bounce them off of, because I did a lot of this stuff alone as a cop. So I started off kicking stuff up, and then, other people would join in. And then later on in my career as a supervisor, I was a supervisor. So I don't know if I want to tell the guys what all happened on the supervisor side of the stuff that was upsetting, because even though it was upsetting, I wasn't the one as present. I was just the one trying to take what weight I could, and then carry on while they could take a break. But it's the gravity of it's a lot different. So maybe someday, or maybe if I get a very pointed question, I'll answer it. But not today. All right, next question. Favorite guilty pleasure of editing? I don't see how that's any of your damn business. But since you asked, uh, I'd say, well, since I use the Riverside app, I'll say I love their, what do they call it? So like a voice amplifier, but it's some sort of AI button that you press, and then it just makes my voice sound so much smoother than it actually is. It just makes it, I had to, fuller, is that like a word you use to describe voices? Everything gets a little bit more crisp and a little bit more radio like. So when my dog barks or the echo of this concrete office get into the audio, then it'll kind of remove that a little bit and just make everything a little bit clearer. So that is by far the easiest thing that I do in editing, and my favorite thing. The hardest thing I do at editing is when we have those little lags and stuff in the audio. If somebody has a bad Wi-Fi connection, and then I have to like edit the crap out of who's talking when, that kind of sucks. Uh, but yeah, that's my guilty pleasure, is just clicking that one little button that makes the audio sound so much better. Next question. Aren't you cringing with your socials? Are you saying I should be cringing? Are they that bad? They probably are. I suck at socials. I fucked up the algorithm somehow. I guess I just pissed it off because I talked about hard shit and then I laughed about it. I don't know, but I'm still trying to learn to do that stuff. I'm not fucking around. I'm trying to do this podcast thing for a year and see where it goes. And that means also committing to socials and doing that sort of thing. Am I letting it am I letting it consume my entire life? No, because I'm trying to live and enjoy this stuff, and I thoroughly enjoy this podcast and doing this and meeting these people and talking about this shit. It's awesome. But I'm trying to, if you guys see me do some weird shit to try to actually get my socials out there, you can cringe for me if you want to, but again, I just don't care anymore. It's the things that I care about, I care deeply, but caring if I look stupid on a social, I don't, yeah, it's not a thing. It would have been a thing had I still been employed by a police department, because again, I'd be like, man, what do these other cops think? But now I just don't give a fuck. So if you hate it and it makes you cringe, um, you're still watching it. So I guess it's still serving its purpose, right? Just don't care. Know what your goal is and just go after it and don't hold back. And then if you fail after a year or whatever your timeline is, fuck it. You tried, which is way more than what a lot of people do. All these people that are out there bitching about, oh, they look stupid. Oh, this, they should be doing that. They're probably not going after whatever they want to go after, and they're spending their whole time judging you. So fuck it. Go after what you want to go after, and screw it if somebody thinks that you look stupid. Unless you're still employed by a police department and you're trying to do some weird fucking social media shit, because you get in trouble for that stuff. Yeah. Or at least, they're trying to, I was going to say twerk down. That's not the right word. They're not going to twerk down. They're going to, whatever. They're going to start being strict about that stuff. You think I'd be better with my words since I'm on a podcast, but it has been a long day, and I should have had a beverage before I started this. The last question I have on here, written down anyways, is what is your biggest achievement? I have a weird outlook on this stuff because I think by the time you're actually awarded whatever achievement it is, it's already time to move past it and see what's next. Even in swimming, right? So swimming, cool. I hit the wall. Oh my God, I got the time I wanted. I can go to NC2As, the trials, whatever. I've hit the time I wanted. As soon as I get out of that pool, I'm not saying this is the right way, but I'm immediately thinking, okay, what am I going to do next time? How am I going to better that? Okay, that was good. Because the celebration was as soon as I hit that wall and saw that time. And I kind of lived my life that same way. It's weird to me when I always feel awkward getting awards, compliments too. Most of you guys know this. But I always know that by the time you get the award, the celebration, the time for celebrating is already gone. It's already long gone. I'm not saying awards aren't awesome, because it is nice. I mean, I'm looking at a wall now that has different awards and stuff on it, so it's good to remember this stuff. But I'll tell you this much, all of the awards and stuff that I got throughout my swimming career, I don't have any of them except for a couple of the World Police and Fire Games awards, and that's just because I was trying to, promote it and kept them to show people so they would go do the games. But for the most part, I don't have very much stuff. I have one thing from the Olympic trials, and it's a bag tag. That's it. So I don't know. For me, achievements are awesome. They're cool to have and to mark off and to know, hey, that was really cool. I accomplished that, and I had no idea that I would be able to just push yourself and to realize that you could do so much more than you thought that you could. But by the time you get that medal around your neck, it's usually already time to start thinking about that next goal. This is probably not, again, the best practice, because I would love to be able to revel in, oh man, I'm so good at this. God, I did so good. I'm amazing. What? How relaxing would that be? I envy those people to a degree. But every day I get up, and if I don't do something, I'm like, God, what a piece of shit. I was better yesterday. I need to be better today. But unfortunately, aging doesn't always work that way either. So I don't know what my biggest achievement is. Of course, I always want to say my kid, and I fucking believe that, but I always hate it when people say that in interviews. If you say your biggest achievement is your kid, I get it. If you're any kind of a parent, you probably should believe that your biggest achievement and proudest moment is your kid. But I always liked other answers. It's like, oh, your kids, okay, cool. Yeah, all of us feel that way about all of our kids. But yeah, I don't know. It matters in what context you're asking. In swimming, I can remember in swimming one time, and it wasn't even me being really fast, but I was given a chance to swim in a relay because I did really well. It was 800 free relay. I was getting a chance to do the 200 free. And I was excited to be part of the relay, but I know one of the girls was really upset because she was a 200 freestyler and she really wanted to be on that relay. So I gave up my spot on that relay saying, hey, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. Coaches were like, okay. Gave her the spot, and she was so fucking happy. And I don't even remember if she swam well or not. I mean, I don't know if she does, but that was pretty cool that happened. And then, but time-wise, I mean, going to the trials, I didn't even like going to the trials. I didn't want to go. I cried when I had to go because everybody else was taking a week off swimming, and I was having to train for the Olympic trials. I was like, God damn it, I just want to go fucking home and sleep and spend time with friends because I never see them. But I was training for the trials, and I mean, I'm glad that I went, but I don't think you ever recognize that you're in your biggest achievement until it's way past it anyways. Because you don't know that you're going to get worse after that. I thought maybe I would go to the Olympics someday, or, with being a cop, I thought maybe I was out. At one point I said, fuck it, I'm going for a chief. If I'm going to change this shit, I'm going to go for fucking chief. Shit went sideways. Topped out a lieutenant, and that's totally cool too, because I got some shit done that I wanted to get done. And the biggest achievement with that was probably seeing some of these officers that didn't have very much faith in themselves or could be amazing leaders and amazing officers, but just didn't know exactly how to get there. And then they fucking got there, and then they've turned into these awesome some of them into these awesome supervisors and awesome officers, and are accomplishing things, changing stuff in the department for the better, fighting against people that are changing it for the worst. It's awesome. It's awesome to see that kind of investment when you see that return on investment in people. Fuck the banks, fuck the regular ROI shit. When you see that return on investment in people, that is fucking cool. I'm giving you guys long-winded answers today. This is actually a longer Fluffer episode than I've probably ever given. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and if you guys have any questions, fucking, email me, message me. You guys got the platforms. Maybe you don't, because again, I'm shit at social media, so send me that stuff. Let me know what questions you guys have, and next time I do a Fluffer episode, I will add them into the mix. that's it. I hope you guys have a fucking phenomenal week. And I will see you soon with some upcoming episodes. All right, you guys be safe out there.